no stranger to dangerous severe weather. Meteorologist Aaron Brackett explains why one Bryan County city wants to give its citizens more than just sirens when seconds count.
Across much of the state of Oklahoma, we are lucky. Doppler radar like ours here at KFOR gives us a view of storms day or night. But there's one particular part of the state where we can't see as well.
sit in the center chair, I'm sorry. Is that gonna be better for you, Rebecca? Yeah, because you're right there in the center, so she can get your mug shot.
No, okay.
I don't think you need my mug shot. I really need to hand this over to somebody who knows what they're doing. So, I really do.
So Crystal owes you one.
But she owes me two now. 'Cause, yeah, I don't know.
And your speaker's already on, your mic's already
Yeah.
on. So push it up and it's on. Yep.
Okay, so it's already on? All right, just a call to order
Yes.
the
Fine.
Cemetery Advisory Board meeting at 4:10 PM. Right, roll call.
Board member Tom Gardner.
Present.
Board member Odin Gruby is absent. Board member Philip Hightower.
Present.
Vice Chairman Jody McWilliams.
Present.
Chairman Crystal Maynard, absent.
Okay.
Consider approval for the minutes.
I'd like to consider approval of regular meeting minutes for October 20th, 2022.
Make a motion to approve.
I second.
Okay,
Then you'll just go to information items.
okay.
We got to vote. We
Oh,
got
I'm sorry. Board member Tom Gardner.
Yes.
Board member Philip Hightower.
Aye.
Vice Chairman Jody McWilliams.
Yes. Okay.
Consider the,
All right. Cemetery administrators reports.
Good afternoon. I am happy to report things are moving smoothly as can be. We're just functioning on a normal basis out at the cemetery. Because it is the winter, we don't have a lot of projects going on. We don't have any projects going on. We're just getting through the winter. Come April 1st, our mowing contractor will begin work, and I might have him come out there, depending on how the grass looks. I might have him go out in March and go ahead and do like a pre-mowing, because since we trimmed the trees last year, I didn't have him do that this year, so that gives me an extra mowing. I always hold one over just in case, but everything looks a little better if he can touch on it, you know, maybe the third week of March instead of waiting till April 1st, because sometimes it's, you know, kind of high by then. So things are quiet there, and we're just going along with our daily business. And I have been in conversation with Mr. Hightower about trying to do some road repairs out there, because that's really where we're at right now. We're not expanding. We're looking at what we have already and just trying to improve the roadways. I would love to be able to resurface all of them, but that's not financially possible. So I think what we may be doing is just taking some sections of it, and if that's something that the street department can work with us and do that. But we don't have any set times for that. It's just discussions that Philip and I are having as a possibility, and I would surely take any help I can get, you know, with that. Anytime we can get inside city staff to help us versus having to hire someone, it's a lot less money, and I'm all for that. I don't really have anything else to report, which is, I think, kind of a good thing. But does anyone have any questions about anything going on in the winter at the cemetery?
I'm sure it's premature, but if the road widening project does start, would they consider increasing the width? Or is
I
there
think
enough
it's-
space available to do that?
I don't think so.
what we were talking about was just doing an overlay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think there's enough space out there to widen it any wider.
Yeah.
What'll happen is if my street department has funds left over in their asphalt
Right.
before budget's up, I'll get him to do some. It gives them a chance to run their lay down machine and
Right.
work on it. They did part of it last year and they did an excellent job on
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
So
It was a very nice surprise when I went down some of those drives, and I kind of braced myself, and I didn't have to, and that was nice. But the roads kind of there, when they platted it, they didn't allow for any
width of the
change
road.
to it. It was what it was, and that's where we're at, so.
That plating didn't consider 2023.
No.
No,
Vehicle width?
especially
Uh-uh.
in the older parts where, it was probably just dirt, for a long time, and they didn't even probably consider there'd be cars going up and down it. But whenever the time comes that the expansion takes place, it'll be probably beyond any time that I'm working on this cemetery. But the section that would be the 5 acres that go up the hill, kind of behind the chapel and across the creek, that's platted differently. We're going to have a roadway, a section where it's got 2 plots on it, which plots are the entire, containing multiple burials, so not to be confused. But then we're going to have another roadway. So you can access a plot you're looking for next to a roadway on either side. There won't be any more of this walking and walking and walking and walking, trying to find and then get turned around. And we'll continue the different size of the grave spaces. Now, those grave spaces that are behind the chapel and on Drive 10 and Section 2, they are a different length than the grave spaces anywhere else in the cemetery. Those are 12 feet long. They're 10 feet long.
5 by 10s.
But these are 12 feet long. And the reason for that was, so when you put the headstone down, you're putting it on ground that's not been broken. It kind of helps support it. And then you've got, and plus now we require bases on headstones, which wasn't always the case, and that's why you see a lot of these that are leaning. So, but that's nice, so that we're not cramped. And I've seen, it's kind of tight in places. There was I don't know that I call it a fad, but it was a style for a while to put, when people put concrete borders down, they put the headstone inside the border. When they did that, that takes up another foot and a half. You don't have room for a casket in between the edge of the headstone and the back of the border. And it's just a certain period of time. You can tell where they must have thought that was a really good idea. Now it isn't. And they're getting pretty good at kind of shifting it, at an angle and sliding it. But sometimes they have to break part of that back border off to get, to achieve the burial. So that was a change, with that. But I think also when we go in that new section, eventually we'll start stacking. And that, from everything that I've talked to with the area funeral homes, has been well received to do that. The only thing that was not well received was the columbariums, when I had talked to them about that. And I've talked to the funeral homes, I've talked to people thinking about buying spaces for cremation to see. They don't mind having their cremains buried on top of family members, but they don't want to be 5 drives away by themselves. So that just hasn't taken off here. I could see in the future it probably will, but for the expense of it, just to have it there, I'd rather use that money to fix roads. But when that time comes, whoever is there at this time, because we're talking probably at least 20 years from now, but you can put those in stages. And I was told to go ahead and build the foundations for each of those because they come kind of pre-assembled. And go ahead and put the foundations down, and then you buy the structures as needed. So that's kind of where that is. But knock on wood, we haven't had any more damage to the chapel or to the maintenance building, and so that is, I'm happy to report that, but I've got more eyes out. And I always tell the grave service and the mowing crew, take a circle around the chapel, and I encourage you all, if you're out there, drive around the chapel just to make sure everything is intact. Because if you just look on one side, you never know what's on the other, and then I want to get on it as soon as I can and get that repaired. I'm out there almost every day, but a lot of times it happens on a weekend, and that's what happened last time. I didn't notice it until come Monday morning. So I've got more people kind of watching that, and I've got a couple citizens that are out there a lot, and they'll just say, oh, I saw this or I saw that, can you look into that? And I would encourage people to do that. If you think something doesn't look right, just call me and I'll be happy to go out and look and see what's going on. So that's all that I have, unless someone has any other questions. And come next time we meet, things will be in full gear. We'll have the mowing crew out. Things will be hopping again. I do want to, I have talked to the artist that refurbished the statue as you first drive in, and she's come out and looked at it. I need that to be whitewashed again. It's starting to show some wear from the weather. Crystal Maynard and I talked about possibly getting volunteers to help with repainting the gates. I had those painted 7 or 8 years ago, and you're starting to see wear from the weather. And at the time when we did that, I had community service helping as well, and that program is not active at the moment. So, but I can see it in the next year. That would be good to do that as well. So rather than expanding, we're trying to freshen up what we have. And maybe add, some more things, but I'm really wanting to protect the funds that I have left for road repair. I think that would be the best way to use it. So, unless we get a benefactor, and you never know. So, I'm all about that. I don't know that the cemetery's ever had a benefactor, but it certainly would make the difference. So. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy.
So, no administration, so you see if anybody has any new business.
Is there any new business? No? Okay. I move to adjourn.
I make the motion, we adjourn.
Second.
All right.
Board Member Tom Garner.
Aye.
Board Member Philip Hightower.
Aye.
Vice Chairman Jody McWilliams.
Aye.
And we're adjourned.